Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this meeting this evening. As you can tell, we have started the recording and we'll be recording this meeting this evening. So what I would like to start out with explaining is that our Stormwater Master Plan is a guidance document utilized in the long-range planning of stormwater conveyance, attenuation, and treatment projects throughout town. The goal and objective of this Stormwater Master Plan is to provide a framework for flood mitigation and water quality improvement projects. The plan assists with gaining a full understanding of how stormwater affects the town and develops a 5-year and 20-year plan to address these impacts. The town has tasked Michael Galore Engineering with updating the Stormwater Master Plan, as he has worked with the town for many years on stormwater issues and has an in-depth knowledge of the town's systems and infrastructure, as well as historical background. This was a joint project with the Butler Chain of Lakes Advisory Committee. Joining us this evening are David Hansen with Orange County Environmental Protection Division and David Hamstra, the Stormwater Engineering Consultant with the Butler Chain of Lakes Committee. Mr. Hamstra and I have a long-standing professional relationship, as I have had the privilege of working with him at the cities of Ocoee and Maitland over the last 20+ years. In addition, Mr. John Fitzgibbon is with us this evening as the town's civil engineering consultant and a resident who cares deeply about the town. He provides countless hours of professional expertise to the town on engineering matters. So with that introduction, I will turn the stage over to Mr. Mike Galora to take us through this evening's presentation regarding the town's draft stormwater master plan. Mr. Galera, if you would.
Thank you, Tanya. Robert, if you could turn the page. This is a summary of our presentation outline tonight. It'll go with an introduction, a brief description of the goals and objectives, the data collection element, a description of the stormwater management and drainage infrastructure inventory, the capital improvement program, the capital improvement program funding, and then we'll adjourn with questions and answers. For an introduction to the town, it's for the residents in the town. It gives you a small town rural feel, and it's with a setting in the Butler Chain of Lakes, which is an outstanding Florida water. The Lake Butler was designated an OFW back in 1984 by the state of Florida. The challenges that the town faces is really stormwater management, particularly with the dirt road sections of the town, and also other areas where developments have occurred, and really just trying to maintain the quality of the Butler Chain of Lakes. We're doing this master plan in close coordination with the state and federal agencies on providing protection for the area lakes through various means, including permitting through the town's permit coordinator, and also for the town's capital improvements. One of the things that we have done is developed a stormwater and drainage infrastructure inventory to identify and maintain the town's facilities. At some point in time, we did not know exactly where everything was, but we did a thorough search of where all the town's drainage structures are, pipes are, swales, and stormwater ponds. This gives the town a roadmap to address deficiencies, to address flooding, water quality, and maintenance-related activities, which are the three primary components in determining the priority ranking for the capital improvement program. Lastly, we'll also look at the fiscal plan to implement the stormwater and drainage improvements. It's important that we look at this because of the town's limited financial resources, that we utilize whatever resources we have available from other agencies, whether it be state, whether it be federal, to be able to implement these improvements, which are very costly at this stage of this year. This map kind of gives you an overall view of the town and its jurisdictional limits, highlighted in yellow. As you can see, that the town is bound on both sides by the Butler Chain of Lakes, Lake Butler on the west, Lake Down on the east, Lake Bessie to the southeast, During the course of the master plan, we identified 4 major drainage basins within town. These are the Lake Bessie, Lake Butler, Lake Crescent, Lake Down drainage basins. As you can see, we've highlighted the 4 major drainage basins. The green in the upper left is Lake Crescent. The red is Lake Down. The purple is Lake Butler, and the blue is Lake Bessie. Our goals and objectives of this stormwater master plan is really to gain a understanding of how stormwater affects a town and how stormwater flows and how it affects not only town facilities, but also the residents in the town. We want to utilize the available data to develop a roadmap on how the town can manage stormwater runoff, whether it be use of conventional or unconventional best management practices. We're also looking at developing a stormwater management and drainage infrastructure inventory using a GIS-based database to manage and maintain the inventory. This tool provides the town with a state-of-the-art resource to be able to quickly identify their drainage infrastructure and on the fly, and really using tablets to input data directly and quickly into the GIS database. This also allows the town to comply with the town's NPDES Phase 2 MS4 program, which is an important federal program that all municipalities in the United States are mandated to comply with. We've also identified short-term and long-term capital improvement program projects based on really the availability of funding and really the overall scope of the project work. We've also developed a priority list based on flood control, water quality, and minor maintenance-related improvements to determine which projects should be ranked first on the list. And then we did an assessment of the fiscal requirements to implement these capital improvements. The data collection element of the master plan required us to identify known structures, pipes, and other drainage features within the town. This was done using various resources, whether it be from plans, as-built surveys, knowing where these structures actually are, and applying GIS to inventory the stormwater and management drainage infrastructure. Again, the GIS provides the town with the tremendous resources to instantly access their drainage features and to identify which ones may need maintenance, which ones may need replacement, and really gives the town a better means of being efficient in how they manage their drainage features. The GIS also provides the town with a quick way to collect data and import it directly into the GIS, particularly for things like debris removal and creating a database for reporting for the town's NPDES MS4 Phase 2 biennial permit renewal. The data collection that we're doing is to meet the state and federal agency requirements for inventorying stormwater management and drainage infrastructure. The GIS allows us to do that and allows the town to quickly update their inventory based on new construction or other features that may not have been previously identified. It provides the staff with mapping features that best illustrates the location of drainage structures and stormwater management features, and allows them to quickly locate those in the event that they need to be maintained. And again, GIS allows real-time entry of data on tablets using ArcGIS online services. This is just a sample from the GIS database that we've received, which was done in concert with Southeastern Surveying and Mapping, provided us with the GIS inventory. With this feature, we can click on a structure and it'll pull up all the pertinent information associated with it, including photographs. This map here represents a highlight of areas where the town has completed drainage improvements within the town. We've identified these areas and they represent the contributing drainage basins for each one of those improvements. These improvements include projects that were done with South Florida Water Management District, with FEMA, and also ones that were done through the town through their general revenue. This map represents areas in town where there are planned communities and developments that have stormwater management already in place and are currently within the town jurisdiction. And so we have identified those as already being compliant with meeting stormwater and drainage requirements. We've done a identification of the stormwater and management and drainage infrastructure in the town through, again, a research and identification through mapping and construction plans to determine where those structures are. We've also looked into the planned developments as far as their plans and their permits to identify which features are in town. Even though they are not maintained by the town still needs to identify them because they are part of the town's overall NPDES program. We've also coordinated with Orange County on their stormwater management and drainage features within the town. The one that's most known is the one in the northeast corner, which is a stormwater pond with an alum treatment system that was constructed by Orange County EPD. This just kind of gives you a snapshot, and it may not be too visible, but kind of gives you a snapshot of all the drainage features that were identified in town, and those were identified through a yellow dot there. I'm not sure they're all that visible. You can go on to the next slide, Robert. The capital improvement program. We've identified three distinct categories by which to categorize our CIP: flood protection, water quality, and maintenance-related structure improvements. Flood protection addresses the flood protection of structures, homes, businesses, streets, and properties, because it is also the most visible of all the I guess you call them deficiencies that could occur in town. The second is not as visible, but is one that may be most impactful because it's water quality and it deals with the actual protection of the water quality of the lakes and how it affects the ecosystem around. If you see fish kills, that is generally going to be a water quality issue, and we have experienced that in the town and have addressed them through constructing stormwater ponds to eliminate or minimize the amount of sediment loading into the area lakes. And then there's maintenance-related structural improvements. These are smaller type projects that may be a replacement of a culvert, one that has failed, or a small structure, but ones that typically is done by the town staff. This list kind of gives you an idea of the costs that could be incurred in our CIP program. The top 4 projects, TW01 through TW003B, were selected as our first priority projects because these are projects that are already in the Hurricane Irma process. We have actually received grant funding for the West Second Avenue roadway and drainage improvements, and that project is out to bid. The other three projects, 7th Avenue in Butler, 8th Avenue in Bessie, and 3rd Avenue in Magnolia, we're waiting from FEMA and DEM on the phase 2 funding. And once we see those funding, and those projects will also go to solicitation for bid. This is just a breakdown of the CIP projects by basin. The Lake Bessie Basin only has a single project, but it's also the one that's probably got the most improvements that have already been completed. Lake Butler has a few, Lake Down. And then there's also projects that encompass the entire town. We have the roadway and drainage maintenance plan, the town dirt road maintenance plan, town dirt road improvement plan, and town swale improvement plan. Those are primarily town-wide and encompass all basins. Here's a snapshot view of all those capital improvements for all the basins involved. Again, the ones in red are for Lake Down, the ones in purple are for Lake Butler, and the one in blue is for Lake Bessie. There were no improvements in the Lake Crescent Basin because they encompass the Willows and I believe Estancia, which are planned developments. This is a view of the Lake Bessie improvements more in detail. It kind of gives you an idea of the limits of that particular project. These are the projects in Lake Butler on the north end of Lake Butler around Lake Wauseon or Wauseon Bay. These are the other improvements in the Lake Butler Basin on the south end of town, particularly down on Main Street and down by Chase Road. Lastly, this is the improvements for Lake Down. This is along Bayshore Drive and addresses primarily a water quality improvement project for controlling pollutant before discharging into Lake Down. Another one for Lake Down. And this is one of the projects that we've submitted to FEMA for under Hurricane Irma, is for retaining wall improvements along the south side of Lake Down along 6th Avenue, because what happened, what we observed during Hurricane Hurricane Ian, was that the embankment started to wash away due to the wave actions to a point that it exposed a lot of the underground utilities in that area. And so if this road were to be severed by something like that, then it would certainly impact a large volume of traffic that use this road to ingress and egress the town of Windermere. These are the various funding mechanisms that we've identified within the town. The town currently has a stormwater utility, but the revenue generated from the utility does not generate enough to really fund a large capital improvement projects. What the town has done is utilize the disaster declarations from Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Ian, and previously under Hurricane Charlie, to receive HMGP funding from FEMA to construct capital improvements. The town has also used a state and tribal assistance grant, the STAG, which is funded by US EPA and is primarily for stormwater and water quality related projects. This is a congressional appropriations, and it's not one that we really have much access to unless we get some lobbying efforts to gain some funding. The Section 319 non-point source grant is really a water quality grant, and it's through DEP and the US EPA. It's a grant that we could utilize, but it's also one that's highly competitive. And so everybody in the world submits on this particular grant. And so we will really have to ramp up our applications to gain the necessary points to get selected. We see a lot of these grants being issued to BMAPs or Basin Management Action Plans that have already been formalized by the state. The TMDL Water Quality Restoration Program is also a water quality grant that we have not yet tapped into, but we'll look at in the future. The town also has the ability to apply for a SRF or state revolving loan program to fund very large capital improvement projects. This SRF is it provides a low interest loan to municipalities to do just that, to fund large capital projects. We've also been in partnership with South Florida on doing several stormwater projects through the cooperative funding program, and they have been a tremendous partner for the town. And lastly, we've looked into the Butler Chain of Lakes, and we appreciate their interest and their cooperation in providing us with some of the funding for this particular project, the master plan. And maybe we'll look for them for further funding of capital projects. With that, that's the end of our presentation. Are there any questions?
I would like to remind any residents on the phone that would like to ask questions, please raise your hand icon and we'll go through you one at a time. Thank you.
So where is the raise your hand icon? Oh, here it is.
Tony, I have David Hamstra first.
Yes, Mr. Hamstra, please go ahead.
Good evening, Mike. Good job as always. Since we've been working together with you guys and the Water Quality Advisory Board, are you thinking of presenting at least the water quality projects to the board for consideration of a joint partnership?
I think that would be a good strategy because right now the bulk of the funding is going towards those HMGP projects because we know that the money is going to be made available to the town. But yes, we will certainly look to do those water quality improvements. We do have several water quality related projects that we'll try to implement, and we'll be looking for funding for those projects.
David, I can give you a resounding yes, we will be coming to you.
Yeah, good, because I think with David Hansen's permission, the board is equally as interested in keeping the lakes clean. And so if there's some good water quality projects that we can partnership with you guys on, I think would benefit the community in general. So.
Absolutely. And thank you again, David, for being here this evening. Most appreciated.
Not a problem.
Mr. Collins, please go ahead.
I have several questions. Is that all right?
Certainly.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, first question. Is there on the Bessie Street TW-003A, which is well down the road, you said, is there a concept schedule available when that funding might come in? That's question number one.
Bessie, is that Bessie and 8th?
Yeah, on the CIP schedule, you said the first 4 priorities.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we're hoping any day now because those have been under review by DEM for quite a while now. And we've provided them with all their responses to their comments. And so we're just waiting for them to issue the contract to the town for execution to move forward on this project.
So the
Yeah,
execution phase,
Mr. Collins, just so
Yeah.
you're aware, West Second Avenue was the first project to make it through the FDEM process.
yeah,
We received the contract from them a couple of weeks ago. Bessie and Butler are about, I'd say, 4 to 6 weeks behind West Second Avenue in delivery of documentation. So we are hopeful that we will be hearing from them shortly with that contract. And
but
we will announce that on social media once we know we've got it.
so is that like the website blast or something when you say social media?
Yeah, I mean, Facebook and Instagram, Facebook, the app, and the website.
Okay, so I'm sorry to go into details on this, but the concept is receive the grant, go to bid, receive the bids, pull the trigger. What do you think what have you learned on that process with West Second Avenue? What is the time frame? Does that take a year or 18 months or?
Well, it's difficult because especially with a disaster declaration as large as Hurricane Irma, it impacted the entire state. And so what happens when a disaster is declared for let's say a certain county, which in our case Orange County, which was part of that, FEMA will allocate a certain amount of money to the county based on their assessment of the damages that may have been incurred during that hurricane. So what happens is then every eligible applicant in Orange County can apply through the local Orange County LMS for consideration for funding. So we have to go through a very regimented process to get even on the list to get for consideration.
So you passed that point,
Yes.
from what I understand, and you have your paperwork all submitted and they're considering it. And if you get the grant, which you have already for West Second, that will be imminent. And then there is a process of administering the project where you go out and spend the money
Correct.
and turn it into the works. I'm kind of interested in that phase.
Okay.
Spending the money from the point that you have said you got it. Is that a since you said it's a big thing, is that 2 years, 1 year?
In our case, we are looking probably at about a 2 year period. Go ahead.
So when we see the notice that you've got the funding, it's shovels in the ground within 2 years.
Yeah, if we're for West Second Avenue, we are actually soliciting for bids right now, and we are looking to open bids at the end of the month, and then look to award the project in December, and then begin construction in January.
So it's a couple of years after you get to go
right.
to see the results of your efforts here.
Yes, for West Second Avenue, yes, because of the size and scope.
Well, I'm talking about 7th and Bessie.
7th and Bessie.
Excuse me, 8th Avenue and Bessie Street, which is a smaller project. But
yeah, it would not be as long as West Second Avenue, just because I believe those projects are strictly drainage improvements and do not involve roadway improvements as well as utility improvements that we're doing on West Second Avenue.
Just controlling expectations, we're still talking over a year, probably a year and a half after you get the funding to be a reasonable amount to spend the money and turn it into work. Is that a safe estimate?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay.
Just because typically we have to go through, and again, the process of awarding the bid, doing the construction administration, and then at the end we still have to close out the project and go through with FEMA for their walkthrough to give their final blessing on the project as well.
A lot of stuff to do, a lot of things to take care of to get.
It's a process. Yes, sir.
Got it.
Yeah,
So
Mr. Collins, most of that is outside of our control.
got it. But you're in the business of helping us, so you got some concept of the work ahead of you and how many shoulders you have to lean into it and so forth. So I think a year and a half is an expectation, is a reasonable to spend $781 on that thing. So I'll use that as a placeholder. I know you guys can't be held to any of this. That's fine. So the next question I have is on the inventory. The GIS inventory, can individuals get access to that to see the accuracy of that inventory? I have a couple of spots I'm interested in my little part of the world.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, is that public information that I can get in a way?
The maps will be available on PDF.
I can read PDFs, that's fine.
Yeah. The actual GIS, you have to have the GIS platform in order to be able to view that, and it's generally going to be limited to the town just because they want to control.
Got it. I got that. That's fine. I don't want to change anything, but we have a couple of pieces of work that were done in a past phase. I have a pipe that in an overflow retention pond that I believe is probably on your plan. I just want to see the survey data.
Okay.
They did on that drainage, because currently when the basin fills up, it siphons back to one of the drains and goes in the lake.
Okay.
Rendering the retention pond never gets full. So I want to just see if your survey people captured that.
Mr. Collins, what we can do is I can get with you later and we can have an offline conversation with the engineers about that specific issue.
Perfect.
Then that way we won't take up anybody else's time with that.
What was your name again?
Tanya.
Oh, it is Tanya. Okay, thanks. Yeah. I got another thing on the CIP. You mentioned the Butler Chain of Lakes might be a funding source. Don't we pay, as citizens, don't we pay something out of our property taxes into the Butler Chain of Lakes improvement fund?
Yes, it's through an MSTU.
Yeah, and so is there some place where we can find out what the size of that budget or that fund that Butler Chain of Lakes is holding for these types of participations?
Yeah, that would have to go through the Butler Chain of Lakes Advisory Committee, and then also Orange County would be the ultimate decision maker when it comes to the spending of those funds. We can request, but we cannot access just based on the fact that our residents are paying into it.
Okay, so we can't, so I go to Orange County to find out what their balance is in that fund.
Yeah, we can either reach out to the Butler Chain Advisory Committee or Orange County to figure out what that balance is.
Does anybody on this call work for those guys?
Yeah, excuse me. This is David Hanson. I'm the liaison to the Butler Chain of Advisory Board. I work for the county. You can email me if you want.
Sure.
It's david.hanson@ocfl.net. And I can actually send you the budget sheets, or just give you the current estimate. But that would be like the total amount within the MSTU, which is the Municipal Services Taxing Unit, which is what you are assessed through.
Yeah, that's fine. The last time I looked at it, it looked like they had like $5-10 million sitting in there. I was just wondering if it's still the same. That was like 5 years ago. You guys probably spent all that money improving our lifestyle by now. David, it's david.hanson@ocfl.net.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And I know we have a potable water master schedule, something going on. Is there any attempt when we do the implementation here to combine any of that project with the drainage project?
That's already happening, Mr. Collins. All of our stormwater projects include the potable water master plan implementation with them as well. And West 2nd Avenue, for example, has that incorporated already.
Okay, thank you. And that's it. Thanks for letting me talk. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining this evening. We appreciate it. Mr. Gatlin, you're next.
Okay, thank you. Mine's fairly simple question. I didn't try to access any of this information prior to the meeting, but as you can imagine, a lot of it's kind of small and hard to read on the screen. Is that going to be on the website or somewhere where I can access it and, and then blow it up a little bit?
Yes,
yes.
Mr. Gatlin. Yes, Mr. Gatlin, it is already on the town's website as part of the packet for this evening's presentation. So you are able to go there and I can send you a link to that. So it might be easy for you just to click on it.
Oh, if you
Okay.
would. Well, I don't have the Town of Windermere link anymore, so
Okay, I will send you a link. I'm pretty sure that I have your email address, so I will send you the link so you can easily click it in an email.
yeah,
Okay.
okay. I say I didn't. I would have tried to get it before the meeting. I just wasn't around, so I didn't try. So,
Sure.
And then
Absolutely.
Roger,
That's my pleasure.
yeah. All right,
once
thanks.
once the report is approved, then we put it under studies and reports on the town website.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good evening. Brandy, you're next.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify, because it sounded a little bit like Mike was saying that, from the time of now till wrapping it up, like finishing the project is a year and a half, unless I'm misunderstanding. So when theoretically, ballpark, so I can tell my neighbors, because a lot of them are out of town and don't have access, when are you actually going to be getting shovel to ground?
Well,
Like
I
how
want
many-
to I want to
Okay.
remind you, Brandy, that Mr. Galora is not actually the engineer of record on the Bessie project. That's Kimley Horn.
Okay.
They're not on the call this evening. Mike is just kind of going over the master plan and some of the projects that we have that are already part of a stormwater improvement. So for example, you're aware that we took the West Second Avenue contract to town council at their last meeting.
Yes.
We have already put the bid out on the street for West Second Avenue. I posted that on Friday. So that's a pretty quick turnaround because you have to take the contract to town council. They have to bless that first and approve it. And then we send it back to the FDEM folks.
Okay.
And then they send it back to us saying, okay, you're good to go. And we then bid it out. So like Mike said, we've got it on the street Friday. We have a pre-bid conference with potential vendors this week. And then we are closing it on October 27th. And we'll review those. We will have to take that again, once we have a selection recommendation, we will take that to town council for their approval. And then we will work to develop a contract with the contractor and get that project going and turning shovels. So I hope that gives you an idea of how quickly we can move when we're ready to go.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I believe Martin Collins has another question.
Martin? Mr. Collins?
Sorry, I got that mute button thing. Hey, Tanya, do you have an outside project management company managing those contracts, or are you doing it all internally?
I manage it along with our engineering consultants. So Mr. Galora is the engineering consultant for West Second Avenue. And then Kimley Horn is the engineer of records for the Bessie and the Butler projects. So I work with them to manage those projects. And in addition, Mr. John Fitzgibbon helps us to manage through these large projects as well.
So you're not using any outside PM resources? Change order management. I'm just a PM guy, and I'm just curious if the city has resources to manage this $24 million worth of spending you guys are going to do coming up over the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think we'll manage.
Okay, good luck. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the residents this evening? Well, with that said, I would like to thank everyone for being here this evening and participating. Stormwater is a very important element and infrastructure item for the town. So I appreciate everybody coming out to speak with us and gain some more information and knowledge about what the town is doing. Mr. Collins, you have another question?
Hey, Tanya, you mentioned you will get with me individually on this GIS inventory, kind of look at the specific issues. Can you just send me a note when you're ready for that?
Sure, I will send you an email to get some appropriate time frames for you in which you can meet with the engineers, and we'll schedule it.
Yeah, I can be whenever they're in town for other business. That's fine.
Okay, will do. All right. Well, with that said, thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it,
Tanya.
and have
Thank
a
you,
great
Mike.
evening. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, David. Thank you both,
Great
David.
job, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Thanks. Good
Tanya.
night.